want to thank right away Lawrence for doing this. Your creativity and your discussions has always been superb. So a couple of things. Number one, I'm going to put my email address in the chat. And for all those people who win the money part of this, not only just the fame, but the money part, I want you to send me your name and your address so that we can get the checks out to you right away. And thank you, Patrick. He's terrific, the treasurer, for helping me make sure that everybody gets their money. So let me also say that there were 37 entries. There were first through fifth place, and then 5 honorable mentions. First place gets 100, second place 75, third place 50, fourth place 25, fifth place 20, and honorable mentions each get 15. And I'm also happy to say that Lawrence, our judge, will also get some money as well. So let me give you a little bio about this incredible man. So he, after 4 years of military service during the Vietnam War era, Lawrence received an MFA in film from the San Francisco Art Institute in 1975. Since that time, he has been seen worldwide in publications that include Time Magazine, Rolling Stone, Vogue, Vanity Fair, Le Monde, Der Spiegel, George, New York Times, Boston Globe, San Francisco Chronicle. That's just a few. For a period of time in the late 1970s and early 1980s, Mr. White served as a staff photographer at Rolling Stone magazine. After that experience, he continued to work in New York City, capturing images for several agencies worldwide and creating fine art photographic prints for an exclusive list of clients. In 2001, he won a New York Press Association Award for photographs captured in his downtown New York City neighborhood during and after the terrorist attack of 9/11. Mr. White is also an accomplished filmmaker who has won awards from the American Film Institute, Chicago Museum of Art, and the Seattle Film Festival, among others. Mr. White writes and performs the soundtrack music for many of the films. He also teaches photography courses and workshops in person and online. These have included Adirondack College, Saratoga Arts Center of the Capital Region, the School of the Arts, Museum of Dance. He currently works as a photographer, writer for 518 Profile magazine in Saratoga Springs, and is creating artwork for a new clothing line he has designed and for wall-size murals. If you would like to visit his website, it's www.lawrencewhiteartwork.com. And lastly, I did want to thank the Ricket family, and Helen, who is in the magenta shirt, is Luba's sister. And if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't be doing this and giving out awards, prizes. So thank you, please, to the Ricket family and Helen for doing this. Over to you, Lawrence. I'm done talking.
Let's look at some pictures.
All right, that's my cue. All right, hold on a second. Share my screen. All right.
I just want to say how great it is to be with such a wonderful group of manipulators.
Well, as Joe said, there was 37 images, and we have 5 places and 5 honorable mentions. So let's get to it. First up is Back to Normal, Patricia Garrett.
This easily could have been a selection. I really like, first of all, I'm a big fan of black and white for obvious reasons, big part of my own heritage, but this is a really nice manifestation of multiple exposure and the use of the black and white medium. You get to the edge there in some of the whites, and also in the black regions. But what you've done is focused on the movement of those people, and that's really what the piece is all about, at least in my eye. So congratulations. Nice print, nice image.
Next up is 1960 Chevrolet Impala, Dow Smith.
That's really a nicely done collage. The piece underneath, the Mel's Drive-In, I was wondering if that was a hand illustration or if that was something that you did through digital manipulation. Is that person here?
I know Dow's not here.
He's not here. I would be interested to know that because not that it makes that much of a difference. That's one of the things, the technique on these things really should be mysterious. It's whether you've achieved what you were after, and clearly this artist did. So congratulations there. By the way, I had a 1954 Chevy Coupe.
Yeah, fun fact, I had my first car was a 64 Impala.
Ooh, yeah. That's when
Next
Chevys
up.
were Chevys, man.
Yeah. Next up is welcome now, speed up. Genre Kaywood.
This is learning how to do this can be a real hook on something to do as far as generating income, because this can be transferred to all kinds of products. And if you own the rights to the image and you put those products out, you get 100% of the product, the profits. I suggest a company called Redbubble, just to kind of give you an idea. It's very easy to get involved with. But what you have here is a design that if you put it on various products and then promote those products, there's a reason that this image, somebody could say it's a cliche. Well, that's because it connects so well. So I would encourage whoever did this to look into products. And Redbubble is a great place to get started.
Okay, next up is Angel in White, Claudia Jakubowski.
Really nice. This has almost an etching, and I noticed in the lower right quarter of the image in that darkened area, it's almost third dimensional. This could have easily been part of the final selection. I love the bordering too, what you've done, and the fearless use of the light tones, and how you've still maintained a detail in the upper right hand corner. None of it disappears. It's really quite a delicate piece, and I would say congratulations for that.
Next up is Red Sky at Night, Enchantress Delight, Phil Olivo.
Bill, you got to get away from the absinthe. This is wild, Bill. This is really, really wild. It reminds me, of course, of Psycho. But there's a real skill in what you've done here. The placement of your subjects, the choices that you use with the sepia tone for the building, and then the lush color for the female manifestation in the window, and also the way the seagulls fit right in. I'd be interested to speak to Phil and find out, was this something that was in your mind when you started, or is this something that you put together as you went along? That would be an interesting question.
Next up is Through the Crystal Ball, Marguerite Hill.
Well, this is really sweet. The thing that would interest me is, was this something that you found? I mean, in time and space, and maybe use some manipulation, or is this a collage or montage? The color qualities are really very cool, and I think that on the wall it would be very successful as serving almost as a window. So a nice effect, nicely carried off, nicely prepared, everything full, tonality, all spot on the money.
Next up is water glass, Barb Lawton.
This is so much fun how you have used today's technology to be able to create a finished piece of art. Barbara, I would really encourage you as well to look at what you've done here within the frame and consider perhaps applying this to wearable art, clothing, which again, you could start with Redbubble or Spotify. I think Redbubble is a great place to get started because it's easy enough to get into. And you can get a feeling for what you have here. But those textures and tones and qualities would fit right in with fashion. And it's fun. It's a fun thing to do. I mean, even if it's not a big hit, designing your own clothing is pretty cool. And again, the design part doesn't cost you anything. If it does sell, you get a residual. So not unlike a photo agency. But for all of you folks that are into this, it's an outlet for your creativity. And it's another thing that's kind of fun. And not everything works, but not everything works in general anyway. So Barbara, congratulations on that piece. I enjoy it very much.
Next up is Finch Angel, Janice Pritchett.
This is again just so absolutely lovely. It's hard not to like this piece. I mean, and the way it's particleized and the concept. I mean, this could easily have won. It's just a beautiful sentiment, very positive in these darkened times. And this would be something that, I mean, I don't know if you're into it, but I could see this quite easily as a card or a poster. And I don't mean that as, I don't want to insult your artwork by saying, oh, turn it into a product if that's not where you want to go. But personally, I've printed my art on so many different surfaces at this time that I'm always excited to see how it will appear on something else. So congratulations on that. And again, I go back to what I said previously.
Okay, next up is Starship Slater, Rich Schreibstein.
That's wild. I wondered if this was captured here at in Albany. That sky and the zoom effect. Also, again, I would have questions. Was this something you achieved in the lens in the moment? Is this something you went back and looked at and said, I think this would be cool to add to this effect? But as an effect, it works really nicely. And what you have in the sky, I have a lot of questions. And again, the questions that I would ask would be a question between photographers. They wouldn't be a question between you and a general viewer. A general viewer would never ask you what I would ask. And that's who you're really after, is have an impact on the imagination of the regular viewer. What are they going to see? Like photographers like me, we get so nitpicky and everything. But I will tell you that in my opinion, this piece has real impact, real 3D kind of qualities. And, it's as fun as anything I've seen in the competition.
Next up is Indian Lake Tapestry, Linda Tomasula.
Well, now, Linda, you mentioned that this is a tapestry. It really looks like it would be a fabric print. Like this is something you would print on canvas to gain even further texture. And I'm assuming that it might be something 20 inches or 24 inches if you were to do a general print. But you know, it looks, I mean, when I first saw it, I questioned the focus. And then as I looked into it, I realized that this was something that was almost like a double print that, you know, because you can see in the limbs, the ghosting, but the saturations in the leaves at the same time, the way that that diminishes the detail in the leaves. And so you just see the color. So it really becomes an impressionistic piece of art. I would like to see it printed large, Linda. I think it would be a very successful, larger print. Anything 18 inches up, I think it would be very successful.
Next up is Vermont Galaxy, Doug Mitchell.
This is wild, Doug. Yeah, this is, and each separate piece. There's so much going on in there. And it was difficult for me to see without blowing it up. But the figure in the foreground, is that, am I seeing that right? Are there two figures in the foreground there? And the subtle light, almost moonlight, the way it hits the stalks in the background really captures it. And then to throw it into this white background, that's the only objection I have to this piece, is the white background. And I'll tell you why. The first thing the eye sees is the brightest thing. That's where the eye goes. Science tells us that. So the first place the eye goes is to your border, not to your detail. If that was a black border, my eye would be able to get into that detail so much better, because it's not all stopped down, physically stopped down for the white. That's the thing about when you present your artwork. Always keep that in mind. If your presentation is more dazzling than your piece, you know, it's defeating. And in this case, because of the subtle nature of this piece, I feel that the white border is very interruptive. I'd like to see it again with a black border.
Next up is still standing after all these years, Phil Olivo.
Now, Phil, again, a zillion questions about this, but the fact that it's no longer even a photograph, that this is an etching, and the loneliness of it, the starkness of it. And then when you look into it, you see all the textures and the very soft tones that are bordering on gold and almost a pumpkin feeling to it. And then the textures inside the tree as well. Really nice, but I would like to see this again larger. In this case, a full, 14, 16 inches on an 18 by 24, with a softer border, with not a white border, but a softer border, maybe a dark brown border, so that the eye can really get into all those subtle things. That would be my suggestion here, as was in the last piece. Just watch out for your white borders, because it really, the eye strains then to get into the more subtle things, because it's battling the white all the time. Okay.
Next up is Inferno, Donna Funk.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this a lot. I like where you're going with the movement and everything. The only question I have, and again, it's strictly taste. When things bleed off like this on the side, it kind of defeats what's happening in the vortex, the pulling in. You see what you have going in there. I would focus on bringing out those tones more. I'd make them 15, 20% more. Maybe add a little bit of contrast, so you're really pulled into that, and then darken down your edges a little bit and pull the viewer into this vortex that you've created here. because that's really where it's all happening. The border is, listen, I know where you're going with that, but I just think when you have that much going on in here, I would focus on that part of it and bring that up and then bring this border area down.
Okay, next up, 1963 Porsche 356C Coupe, Dow Smith.
These are great. They're just great. And I love the background selection, the colors for it, the subtle colorization of the upholstery, the way that you've aged the Porsche medallion. It's just really nice. I mean, really nice. And these are the sorts of things that, again, graphically, you've created something here that connects with a demographic. It connects with people who collect cars. It's a big market, And you've done something here really sharp, really cool, as was the other one of the automobile. Think about that. If you want to reach that demographic, it's open to you through these marketing sites. And then, of course, the whole thing about marketing through social media and all that. But these are good ideas. Well done. So consider it.
Next up is River Lights at Night, Dan Steen.
Dan, you've got to bring this down. Just in the, I would love to talk to you afterwards at some point and go over with you this image in print preparation. If you're into it, we'll Zoom and I'll go over it with you because there's more stuff happening here and I can help you get it. But it is very simple and basic. But this image is not fully realized yet, but it could be. It's all there. The light's there. I like to compare what we do as photographers as being a chef, and how the chef during the day goes out and gathers the various food products, the vegetables, the beefs, the herbs and all that, and brings it home. He doesn't just throw it on the table, he goes into the kitchen, and that's where, for us, our kitchen is that digital dark room. And I know Dan, it works. I know he's very adept at it, but I would like to go over it with him on this image and show him a couple of things that I think he might enjoy.
Yeah, Dan's not on tonight, so.
He's not, okay, I'll contact him. I know how to get a hold of him.
Next up is Kitchen Chaos, Linda Tomasulo.
This is great. This is great. Now, this could have easily been the winner. I mean, it's just well seen, well prepared. The black and white, the frame here, the border doesn't bother me because the white in the image is one of the dominant things. So it doesn't class. I don't have to look that far into it as with Doug's image. You want to look into that. Here, boom, it's brash, it's right there. Well seen, well done. The whole concept, everything. Really, really, really good. I like this a lot.
Next up is Cambridge Steel Plow Company, Kim Koza.
So cool. Just so cool. There's another one that's a landscape. This is just so delightful. And also the detailing work on it. When you look into it and you can see the Cambridge Steel Plow Company, Cambridge Steel Plow. Super, just really cool. It's hard to believe it's a photograph. And that's it. It's artwork. And of course, photography is art. But this is real art, really cool. And the stark nature of it, the surreal nature of it, the cloud hovering over it. And then, of course, that amber sky, really, really nifty. I like it a lot. Again, I mean, it lends itself, it connects to people. And there's all kinds of ways to present your art now. I would consider it on these pieces. Okay.
Next up is Wind in the Pines, multiple exposure in camera motion, Joe Catronio.
Yeah. I like this. But is Joe here?
Yes, Joe's here.
Okay. Joe, I would just bring this. I mean, look, when we do prepare these images, they look one way on our computer monitor. They're going to look another way on somebody else's computer monitor. Just tonight, I'm on deadline. I'm preparing an image and I uploaded it to, it's perfect. You know, I worked on it forever and I uploaded it to Dropbox, which is how my editor is going to see it. And I went, bang, it just, oh God. So I had to go back and do it again. So there are all these variables in what we're doing in digital medium and in this presentation. So taking that as the basis, I would bring this down about 7 to 9, maybe 10%. That might be a little bit too much. Maintaining your contrast levels and just add just a touch of vibrance. I would just try that. On my screen, it's just that much over. And I believe if you bring it down, that the art that's in there, those wonderful angles and that pattern and everything will really pop. I think it's there, but I think it's, like I say, 7, 9, maybe 10%. And then just juice the vibrance just a little bit. Just see how that looks and see what you think of it.
Next up is Tulip Time, Marguerite Hill.
Well, here we go. Here's somebody found posterization, and here it works. Here it works. The oblong frame, all of that, and you know, the deep black. You know, if you were to take an image like this, what you have here, these tones, textures, and qualities, and you work them into a pattern. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm too new school because I see things like this, and that's the first thing I think is, wow, this could, you know, all these tones and everything, the colors, the black border. If you were to work this into some kind of a pattern, into a flowing skirt, or because these clothing pieces, the things that I'm seeing, they're really canvases. The areas of the jacket, the flowing gowns, they're canvas, and the way that they move when people walk or turn, it adds all kinds of new dimensions to visual art. And this sort of art, again, just fits into that if you take it and run with it. I'm kind of putting everything through that filter, but maybe it's valuable. I hope so.
Next up is Emotions, Neil Shapiro.
Yeah, yeah. Anytime you throw green onto a woman's face, immediately you've turned her into the Wicked Witch of the West. You know that. So that's, and then the red at the same time. So it almost becomes a demonic kind of possessed kind of look, and the intense eyes as well. I would take this just another step further. You've come this far with this imagery. Now take it another step. See where it can lead you. And when I say that, the door is wide open. There are so many different things that you could choose to do here. But I would suggest that. I would take this as a basis and then move on. The other thing too, consider the whites of the eyes. You can use your brush tool, sample with white, take it down to maybe 10 to 12%, and brush in those eyes, lighten, put it on light. and just bring the eyes up a bit. Always keep those eyes intense. It's not enough that it's obvious, but enough that it enhances the eyes, because that's where the intensity is.
Next up is The Crown, Sean Sullivan.
This is cool, Sean. This is really cool. You know, I would, I mean, I know that it's kind of an imagery that shows the destruction of society while it's being built, you know, the decadence of it and all of that. The upper left-hand corner, this clear area up here, consider that, because I think that there's an opportunity there that you could create something in that space to bring the dynamic of this piece even into more clarity. That may not be a choice you want to make, but I would think about that, because that area there does offer an opportunity to find some way to bring it in. Also, all this, what you have here is debris flying. I think that's, I don't know if that's from a storm front or what have you, but that element I think would be enhanced, because it is a mystery, which is, it's great that it is, but I think that mystery would be enhanced with this upper left-hand corner here having something going on there, the clouds or what have you.
I think it needs birds.
I wouldn't do birds. I would say that we've already gone there. But no, I do think that if it was these clouds and something, just so that it holds that in, I'm even as I'm holding my hands there, I can see it. But I mean, I never know when I start, but I just think that area there is, I would consider that, Sean.
Thank you. I will do that. Next up is Phantom of the Stairs, Sally Woolsey.
Yeah, this is cool. And again, voila, what you have is a wonderful essence of a design. A couple of things. I would bring up the areas in the center on both of those shapes, the eye-like shapes. I would bring those up a little bit more, have more presence there. Now, having said that, I'd even keep the shadows in the background. I love that. But here's a perfect opportunity. Again, you duplicate these into a design, you know, all of a sudden, boom, you've taken it to another level. So as soon as I create things like this now, I do that all the time, and I'm twisting and turning them and, you know, using them within the frame, freeform. And you might consider that with this. But as it is right now, I would bring out those center eyes just a little bit. I bring maybe 12 to 15%, so that those whites and grays in there become a little bit more dominant.
Next up is Stranded, Claudia Jakubowski.
Cool. Real, and this is where photography finally reaches the level of acceptance in the art world that painters have always had. And this type of textural piece really speaks to it very, very clearly. Again, this would make a wonderful, large canvas print. Lately, I've been experimenting printing on satin, but I think this would do better with the small weave canvas. Would this be a stunning, really stunning and large? I would start at about 30 inches, maybe even larger with this piece.
Next up is Corona, Patricia Garrett.
Right. This has a lot of possibilities. I would, I mean, you know, again, choices, and it's all a matter of taste. But I would be doing a lot more with the light in this piece. It's all happening. What I see, and by the way, thankfully, this is all bordered by black. So the subtle tones that are happening in the bottom part of the frame are there. You can see them. And it's like a reddish, brownish tone in there. And I believe that if you just played with it a bit and brought that out 10 or 15%, and then did the same thing above here, so you just shift those tones 10 or 15% each, that image is going to come alive a lot more than it is right now. Right now, though, as you presented it here, it's all about the bubbles. And the bubbles are dominant in this, and I get it. I hear you. I think that even at that, I would play a little bit more, particularly with the tonality at the bottom of the frame, and perhaps a little bit with the top as well.
Next up is Birdhouse Collage, Washington Park, Albany. Marty Bannon.
Wow. This is great. Yeah. And, you know, again, here, take this and duplicate it, you know, 40 or 50 times, make a huge pattern out of it. And now you can translate that into a number of uses. But this is hip. I mean, imagine you show up at a classical event and you're wearing a black shirt and a white tie, and this is your jacket, you know, and that's the design all over your jacket. I mean, it has all of those graphic technical facets very prominent, and it's well done. I love how here you have white. I don't mind that it bleeds off. That's fine. It works with the graphics and the gray tones, how rich they are, and goes into the black. This would be a really successful item as hip, you know, wearable artwork. It's something to consider. That's what I thought the minute I saw it.
Next up is Supernova, Neil Shapiro.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is nice, but I think that, again, it's not fully realized. Just in the version that I'm seeing here, the dandelion head and then the vortex, all of that, it really, I mean, it's all right there. I would love to play with this. Because there's so much going on in it. I see where you have this in the foreground, the red tones, how you brought them forward a little bit and allowed the blue tones to kind of go into this moody background. But I just think that you've maybe let it go too far. I keep those tones in the white areas. There's not much I do there, but I play a little bit more with the setting and make that just a little bit more dynamic. Not too much, because it'll get garish, you know, but I would bring it out a little bit more, just so that the eye doesn't have to struggle so much to see in there, because I want to see in there.
Next up is Spring Cleanup, Rich Sharpstein.
Yeah. Yeah, this is great where you're going with it. Again, this may be the exact look that you want, and I get it. But I would also try it maybe 20% darker, but at the same time, I don't know if you're familiar in Photoshop with the shadow highlights tool. But this is a perfect example where you could take in levels, take your midtones down and then hit shadow highlights after you do the midtones down, and it opens it up again, but it keeps the dark areas as very rich saturated tones. And this would work very well with that. But having said all that, I maybe just blowing smoke here, and you may like this effect because it's really sweet as it is as well.
Hey, Honorable mentions. First up, On the Farm, Barb Lawton.
Yeah, this bar, wow, it's just so beautifully twisted. I mean, really kind of a nightmare type of a thing. And that's that's really the scariest images, is when things almost look real, but they're not. And this has that feeling to it, that odd, the house, the way it's twisted, and the kid kind of playing the old carriage in the background. It's almost natural, but you know that it's not. So again, this could have easily been a winner. I was fascinated with it when I saw it, and the technique too of the illustrative nature of it, by using the it would look like you probably used a mat or superimpose this character, and maybe even the house, I don't know. But then the background, the hillside, looks so natural and native. It's really beautifully twisted.
Next honorable mention, Partisan Politics, Joe Catronio.
Great graphics. This is the kind of artwork that will get you hired at a network television station. This is the kind of graphics that they look for in journalism. It's very successful. If you develop a portfolio of artwork along these lines, you would have something definitely to present for situations like that, because it is very successful and well done in that genre. Yes.
Okay, next honorable mention, The Drowning Man, Sean Sullivan.
Yeah, this is what can I say? I mean, it's very successful, the way that you conceived of it and you carried it out. The hand, the balance of it. Yeah, interesting choice of color, not the usual color that you would see, but certainly fits in with today's gaming society. And Tron, that whole alternative universe world. And it's very successfully done. Very good.
Next up is Defiance of Time, Peter Pan statue, London, UK, Marty Bannon.
Yeah, I like this. Yeah, I like this very much. And this would make a wonderful mural. A wonderful mural, a rear lit. They have, the technology has changed so much now. It's just fascinating to see. But you see these LED light screens, like Grand Central Station has those huge, gigantic photographs, and they used to actually be transparencies that they printed that large, but now they're LED screens. And the latest technology, these screens, LED screens, high resolution screens, you can actually roll them up and put them into a tube. Can you imagine? So these huge wall installations are becoming more and more realistic, and they're becoming a designer's option. So when you're creating artwork like that, that's another avenue for you to be able to, market your work, express yourself, is these large mural images. And this would certainly qualify as that. So, and by the way, artistically, the layout, the design, all of that, very, very well done. I have absolutely no complaints about the image at all.
Next up is Nature's Stained Glass, Lena Kesey.
Gorgeous, and again, a myriad of printing opportunities here. Just imagine this as a LED wall installation, in an apartment that doesn't have windows, or, I mean, imagine the light coming through that into the room, the beautiful colors and tones that we get. And that's really, frankly, the way we're seeing it. All these images are backlit, they're rear lit. So they have that kind of almost juicy quality of the hues. But this is something here that I would definitely, even if it was presented in like a 20-inch light box, I would definitely have this presented in that way. And because I think it would be very desirable not only to see, but because of the light that it radiates into the space.
And our winners in
Here we go.
5th place, Beach Walk, Janice Pritchett.
And the reason that I chose this, number one, it's great as a concept. What you've done, it's right on the money. It's an idea that many people try and almost works. Here it works all the way through. The whites detail, the sky, everything is there. But there was another reason that I chose this, was that out of all of the images, I felt that this one really, and this one and the last one really exemplified what you can do as far as your printing options. And I tell you to look at them all of the options that are available to you now. And the quality's incredible. My goodness. I had things this year printed as throw blankets, huge throw blankets, 50 by 30 throw blankets in a kind of a soft material, so that they were, you know, they would make you warm, and the quality is knockout, just amazing. So because we are able to get these large photo files to printers, and because basically they're calibrated fairly close to what we are, it gives us options that we've never had as photographers before. So this piece, I mean, imagine it as a shoulder toss or those colors, those natural colors, and the way that they're represented in this impressionistic style. Well, as I say, consider your options.
In 4th place, Wizard Coffee, Elena Kesey.
Just again, as a graphic, as if you were, if there was going to be a need for this sort of graphic in journalism and television journalism, that sort of thing, it's spot on. The tonality in the cup, and the sense of what you've done here as far as the you know, the sparks and lights, etc. There are a number of ways that you may have done that. Again, I'm not going to intrude upon your mystery, but it's very successful for that reason. And out of all the images, this one seems to stand out as an example of that graphics that really is outstanding.
In 3rd place, Blue Door, Kim Koza.
Just remarkable. I'm really a sucker for snow images anyway. The tonality, the challenge of capturing snow is, particularly as a black and white photographer, is always a big challenge. But as a concept here, it's really well realized all the way across. There's a fantasy element to it with a circular shape in the sky in the background, and you know, you're looking basically at a black and white photograph. There may be some toning to it, but the door and the subtle that she didn't go for the red door. You know, quite often as artists, we want to make that statement, you know, so it's red or it's gold or something. No, she went for the soft tone that it catches your eye, but in a very subtle way. So this could have easily, again, this could have easily won the competition. It just and there's a subtle thing about this, and I don't know whether she left it in on purpose or not, but the tire tracks leading up to the house, That was an interesting choice to leave those in. And again, that's the element of the mystery, but that's an interesting choice because everything else is so fantastic. Then you see the tire tracks and it throws it in a different direction. In this case, successfully so. So congratulations.
In second place, the banker, Doug Mitchell.
I got to tell you, this image could have easily been number one. This is just extremely well done. I mean, every choice that you made in creating this image is right on the money. I would change the title. And the reason is because I see it more as a universal image. The banker denotes it to a certain profession, and I understand where you're coming from with that. But my hit of it is when I see it, man, it really speaks of the human condition and what we're doing to each other and how we, are capable of alienating and isolating ourselves and in ways that are so self-destructive. So I don't normally enjoy or cheer on images that are negative, but I don't see this as a negative image. I just see it as an image that very well expresses a human condition. So that would be my only criticism, would be the title. Other than that, it's just a remarkable and beautiful image.
In first place, and our winner, When Toasters Fly, Sally Wilson.
I just love it. I just love this image so much. I love it, the innocence, the naivete, the sense of history. I was describing this to a young photographer friend today. And I said, the toasters, they used to come out, they had no idea. But here it just and it reminds me of Duchamp and Dali and some of the great surrealists. And again, as a concept, excellent. As a visual, spot on the money. I mean, everything's right on it. There was another thing. It made me laugh. It made me feel really good. And it made me feel for a few minutes what a wonderful world we're in. And that was worth first place right there. We have a lot of responsibility. I was just interviewing a musician the other day for an article that I'm writing, and he said, I don't know what it was, but during COVID, I was writing all this positive stuff. And I said, yes, you know what it is. You're a responsible artist. That's what the world needs. And not many images really click and do that, make you feel good. And that image did. And because of that reason, I gave it the number one.
Well, congratulations, everybody. All great work. Very creative crowd we have.
Oh, it's remarkable. Always a joy to see it.
Thank you so much for your.
I'm blown away tonight. So much great
Yeah.
creativity. Wow.
Yeah.
And thank you, Lawrence. You have great critique.
Well, thank you, guys. Thanks for letting me participate. And always, it's a great inspiration for me to hang out with you, even if it's just for a little while like this. So thanks.
Thank you, Lawrence.
All
Great
right.
commentary.
Sally threw that in the air and took a picture, or what?
Yeah.
Stunned.
Is
No,
she
it was
here?
really fly. It was really flying.
Is that Sally?
Well, yes, that's me.
Oh, that was your image?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
now well, I don't want to get too much into the mystery again, but was that something you found at a garage sale?
No, I actually did use it at some point.
All right. Isn't that cool? Isn't that, I was trying to describe that to my partner, Carol, and she's like, I never heard of such a thing. And I guess maybe it's a generational thing. But and again, how did you come up with that idea? Was it, had you always seen it like that? Had you seen it as a kid, kind of as a winged device?
I have it. I mean, and I was playing with it and I looked and said, God, it looks just like it would fly. Oh, I got to do that. You know, just, yeah, it is very kid-like. You're right.
And are you familiar with Duchamp and Dali's work and
Oh, yeah.
Man Ray? That, you know, there it is right there. And that's what they did. They took simple, ordinary, everyday kind of things and made them absolutely fantastic. And that very simple gesture did that very successfully, nicely done. Did you have to wait for the clouds to be just right?
Yeah. I mean, you know, it was a blue sky day. It was lucky. Yes.
Yeah.
We don't get too many of them around here
Now,
lately.
and the lighting was great. Did you manipulate that in Photoshop or anything like that? Or was
No, I am baffled by all the techniques everybody used. I really like simple.
and there you go. Well, isn't that interesting? Isn't that and that's kind of the thing is that you know what we do and how it's seen and how it's perceived. There were at least 4 or 5 images that could have, in my eye, taken the top shot. But the reason I chose Sally's was strictly on well, there's some technical thing there, but on an emotional basis that it connected with me. And that's sometimes as photographers, it's like musicians, like you see a guy and he's just terrific, just going a million miles an hour, and it blows you away. And then somebody else comes up and song blue, you know, and it connects. And that's sometimes we go too far with our technique and we forget that basic thing of connecting artistically and emotionally with a viewer. And that image, well, it certainly did it for me. It really did it for me. But everybody, I think you all deserve congratulations.
Yeah, everybody should have first prize.
Yeah, it's quite a remarkable display, you guys. I'm glad you're getting back together again as well. That's terrific.
That's
Well, thank
pretty
you. Thank you
All
all.
right. All right, I'm gonna head out. All right, guys.
Thanks,
good. Have
Lawrence.
a good one. All right,
Good night,
guys.
all.
See
Have
you
a good
next
night.
week.
Bye. Good
Take
night.
care. Okay.
Good night.
Bye.